The internet is an endless digital realm overflowing with infinite possibilities. But did you know it's also a powerful tool for uncovering the truth? From the depths of online forums to the vast expanse of social media, everyday people are becoming real-life detectives. Here, people armed with nothing but a computer and a thirst for the truth have cracked some of the most bizarre mysteries. From hit and runs to stolen laptops, you'll want to grab a cup of coffee for this one. Are you ready? I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 weird mysteries solved by people online. 25. The Shaky Footage. We've all seen our fair share of police brutality on camera, but what if the footage for an event was too shaky to be used as evidence after the fact? That's exactly what happened in the case of Walter Scott. A bystander's video of the shooting was blurry and inconclusive, but Daniel Vauchart, a Canadian student with a knack for video stabilization, decided to put his skills to the test. He transformed the shaky clip into clear, damning evidence, and not only helped to convict the officer, but also ignited a massive online movement demanding justice for Scott. 24. The time 4chan called for an airstrike. Have you ever used 4chan? This anonymous English language image board website has over 22 million visitors monthly and is known for its dark humor and often controversial content. However, in a surprising twist, a group of 4chan users played a crucial role in the Syrian civil war in 2016. By analyzing social media posts and videos, the online sleuths were able to pinpoint the locations of ISIS and Syrian rebel camps, and shared their intelligence with the Russian military. While the accuracy and extent of their involvement are still debated, it's an undeniable fact that these internet users paved the way for other potential geopolitical influencers. 23. Cracking a hit-and-run case. When a cyclist was killed in a hit-and-run in 2018, the case seemed bleak. With little evidence to go on, the Washington State Police turned to an unlikely source for help: the internet. Trooper Jonah Batiste shared a video of a car part found at the scene on Twitter, hoping someone could identify it. And Reddit's r/whatisthithing community stepped in. A user with a keen eye for car parts, known only as Jeff's Nuts, recognized the part as belonging to a mid-80s Chevy Silverado. Thanks to his expertise and the power of online collaboration, the police were able to identify the suspect's vehicle and make an arrest just days later. 22. The chat room tragedy. I can't imagine the pain of losing a loved one to self-harm, but it must be unbearable to know someone caused that pain deliberately. In 2008, Nadia Kajoui ended her own life after facing a series of personal challenges. What many didn't know at the time was that Nadia had tried to find help online, but unfortunately fell into the clutches of a digital predator. Posing as a compassionate nurse named Cami D, William Melkert Dinkle targeted and manipulated several vulnerable individuals, including Nadia, and led them all towards self-harm and ending their own lives. Thankfully, Celia Bay, a dedicated online counselor, uncovered his true identity and exposed his online actions, bringing him to justice. 21. Brad Willman's Trojan horse. In 2007, an internet child abuser was sentenced to jail following a lengthy case involving evidence gathered by illegal hacking. The 66-year-old man, Ronald C. Klein, used to be a senior judge and was brought to the attention of the authorities after his computer was infected by a Trojan horse planted by the Canadian hacker Brad Willman. Brad had been hacking into computers since the age of 14, but eventually decided to use his talents for something more honorable. He created a Trojan horse to target sex predators online, collecting evidence and building cases before reporting them to the police. To date, he's already infiltrated over 3,000 computers and assisted the police in arresting several suspected child predators, including military personnel, social workers, priests, and yes, even judges. 20. The greatest Twitter crime-solving story ever told. Sean Power, a Canadian web consultant, had his laptop, phone, and other valuables stolen while on a business trip to New York City. Incredibly, a free tracking tool called Prey pinpointed his stolen MacBook to a specific Manhattan bar just 4 days later. And the best part? Not only did the software provide screenshots of the computer's activity, but it also activated the webcam, giving Power a live view of the thief. With a stroke of digital genius, he mobilized his 12,000 Twitter followers, who promptly descended onto the bar and recovered his property. 19. A selfie on a stolen iPad. In a bizarre twist of fate, a stolen iPad helped bring not one, but two thieves to justice in 2015. When Randy Schaefer discovered his truck had been broken into, and his iPad among the stolen items, he contacted the authorities. Amazingly, new photos, including a perfect little selfie, appeared in his iCloud account. And after sharing these images on social media, a determined online community sprang into action. A Reddit user recognized one of the thieves from high school, and with the help of a shared Facebook video flaunting the stolen cash, the suspects were quickly identified and apprehended. 18. The Virginia Hit and Run. This case almost mirrors the story I covered in number 23, proving once again that the internet is an amazing place. In 2012, a tragic hit-and-run incident in Waynesboro took the life of Betty Marcel Wheeler while she was out on a walk. The driver fled the scene, but the police managed to recover a vehicle part. The breakthrough came when the police department shared an image online. Thanks to the keen eyes of the public, the piece was quickly identified as part of an F-150 grille, possibly from a 2000 model. The crucial bit of information proved invaluable to the investigation, and the suspects were arrested less than 2 weeks later. 17. The Steubenville High School case. In 2012, members of the Steubenville High School football team in Ohio sexually assaulted an unconscious teenage girl from West Virginia. And if that wasn't bad enough, photos of the attack were later circulated among the players. The incident came to light later that year when the hacker group Anonymous leaked the evidence, including a video, by hacking into the school's football fan website. The footage showed the two perpetrators, Trent Mays and Malik Richmond, both 16 at the time, mocking their victim. They were subsequently convicted and sentenced to prison in 2013. 16. The Philadelphia Hate Crime. In 2014, a gay couple was subjected to several slurs and verbal abuse by a group of 12 people on a Philadelphia street. Not long after, a photo of the attackers was shared on Twitter by a user named Greg Bennett, while local police released surveillance footage of the assault, which showed the group leaving a restaurant. Social media users got busy and identified the restaurant as La Viola. In the process, they also managed to match several individuals in the photo to reservations made at the establishment on the night of the attack, and the names were turned over to the police. 15. The Disappearance of Gregory May. Ellen Leach is a truly remarkable woman. She has dedicated herself to finding missing people across the country after her relatives disappeared in 1995. During the early 2000s, her investigative skills were tested when a skull was discovered encased in concrete. A facial reconstruction was created, and Leach, through her inexhaustible research on the Doe network, identified a potential match with Gregory May, a missing antique dealer. May's roommate, Douglas DeBruin, has always been suspected of foul play in the disappearance, but without a body, the case was challenging to say the least. As a result of Ellen's excellent memory, a match was confirmed between the recovered skull and May, providing the final piece of evidence. 14. Abraham Shakespeare. Winning the lottery might sound like the ultimate dream, but it can quickly turn into a nightmare. In 2006, a homeless man, Abraham Shakespeare, won $17 million. His newfound wealth, however, attracted a swarm of opportunists, and by 2009, he disappeared. A dedicated community of online sleuths known as web sleuths took up his case. They were convinced that Dee Dee Moore, a woman who had received a significant portion of Shakespeare's winnings, was involved with his sudden disappearance. Moore claimed that Shakespeare had moved away, but the sleuths remained undeterred. A crucial breakthrough came when an anonymous user posted a message online in an attempt to clear Moore's name. The IP address of this post was traced back to Moore herself, and soon after, Shakespeare's body was discovered buried in her backyard. But you know what else is a weird mystery that I just can't solve? Why you haven't liked, shared, commented, or subscribed yet? I mean, it really helps our channel thrive and grow. Also, don't forget to check out our social medias. 13. Luka Magnotta. In 2010, animal rights activist Ryan Boyle came across a horrific video on 4chan depicting the torture of 2 cats. Outraged, Boyle rallied a dedicated group of online detectives to identify the perpetrator. They uncovered several important details and soon identified a Facebook profile linked to Luka Magnotta, a Canadian man with a troubling history. And yet, despite sharing their findings with authorities, nothing happened. Undeterred, they continued their pursuit, documenting Magnotta's escalating cruelty as he posted more and more disturbing animal abuse videos. The turning point came when a tip led them to a new video featuring Magnotta. This time, the content featured a gruesome murder. The latest evidence finally galvanized law enforcement, and within weeks, Magnotta was on Interpol's most wanted list and subsequently apprehended. 12. Tent Girl. In 1968, a well digger named Wilbur Riddle found a young woman's body wrapped in a green tarpaulin, typically used for carnival tents. The woman could not be identified and would become known as Tent Girl. Decades came and went, and the case remained unsolved. until Wilbur's son-in-law, Todd Matthews, dedicated himself to uncovering Tent Girl's identity. He eventually connected with a woman looking for her missing sister. Matthews connected the dots between the missing woman and the unidentified victim, and a DNA test confirmed the heartbreaking truth. Tent Girl was Barbara Ann Hackman Taylor. The mystery of her murder remains unsolved, but suspicion fell on her husband when he exhibited suspicious behavior after she disappeared. 11. The Lynda Jane Hart case. Now, earlier I mentioned websleuths.com, but if you're curious about what they do, it's a virtual meeting ground for amateur detectives who share a common goal: cracking cold cases that have stumped law enforcement. One such sleuth is Carl Koppelman, a former Disney accountant. Drawn to the site, he began moderating a forum that compares coroner's reports to cases of missing persons in an attempt to reunite families. Koppelman's dedication paid off in 2011 when he identified Lynda Jane Hart, who had been missing since 1988. Initially classified as a Jane Doe, her remains were discovered in an abandoned parking lot years earlier. 10. Anthony Posey's camera. While out celebrating his wife's 50th birthday in Seattle, professional photographer Anthony Posey made a heart-stopping mistake. He left his camera behind in a public library restroom. As you can imagine, the camera was gone by the time he returned, and a Craigslist ad yielded no leads. But fate intervened. Police recovered a stolen camera and posted its discovery on Nextdoor.com, a local social network. One of their Key9 users recognized it from Posey's Craigslist ad and reunited him with his precious equipment. Oh, good. One that doesn't involve murder. That's nice. Good. 9. A brutal attack. In 2016, Sam Whitehorn, a huge Green Bay Packers fan, was enjoying a chill night out when his life changed forever. A group of Seattle Seahawks fanatics attacked him, leaving him unconscious with a fractured skull. His girlfriend, Bridget Kitson, was devastated. She couldn't just stand there, so she took to Reddit to share their nightmare. People were furious. The online outrage helped the cops to track the 3 suspects down, who ultimately turned themselves in. And we're back to the violence. That didn't take long. 8. The man who keeps on solving them. Our next item doesn't tackle just a single solved mystery, but the man who's making a career out of it. Billy Jensen is a digital media expert who's become a real-life detective superstar, cracking 10 murder cases. With a journalism background, he knows his way around investigations, and came up with the clever idea to use social media ads to find people who might know something about a crime. One of the biggest cases he solved was the murder of Marquez Gaines. A close examination of the photos and videos from the area helped him to identify the perpetrator. Jensen has even turned his true crime adventures into 2 books, Killers Amidst Killers and Chase Darkness with Me. 7. The Murder of Crystal Theobald. Why Did You Kill Me is a powerful Netflix documentary that follows Crystal Theobald's family on their heartbreaking search for justice. Crystal was killed in a 2006 drive-by shooting, a case of mistaken identity gone horribly wrong. Her mom, Belinda Lane, refused to give up. She created a fake MySpace profile and got close to the gang members responsible for her daughter's death through a series of online chats. Her digital detective work was instrumental in identifying Julio Heredia as the triggerman, and he was subsequently convicted of first-degree murder. 6. Anonymous delivers justice for Rehtaeh Parsons. The heart-wrenching case of Rehtaeh Parsons shook the world. The young Canadian girl's life tragically ended after she was sexually assaulted, and the image circulated widely online. The ensuing cyberbullying was just too much to bear. The police investigation initially produced little progress, leaving Rehtaeh's family and the public outraged. The intervention of Anonymous, the enigmatic collective, turned the tide. Their high-profile involvement pressured law enforcement to reopen the case, ultimately leading to convictions. 5. The Aundria Bowman case. The disappearance of Aundria Bowman remained a mystery for 5 years until Carl Koppelman, who I actually already discussed earlier, entered the picture. Aundria's story was marred by abuse at the hands of her adoptive father before her disappearance. Years later, Koppelman's searches led him to a seemingly insignificant detail: an active Classmates.com profile under Aundria's name. After contacting the profile's owner, Koppelman realized the woman was Aundria's biological mother, and the two joined forces. They both believed that Aundria's disappearance was tied to her adoptive father, and they made sure the authorities were informed. DNA evidence linked Aundria's adoptive father to another homicide, and under mounting pressure, he finally confessed to killing Aundria and revealed the location of her remains to her mother. 4. DNA and social media crack a cold case. The brutal murder of 11-year-old Lynda Ann O'Keefe in 1973 shattered the peace of Newport Beach. She was walking home from school when her life was stolen. Her body was found the next morning, hidden in the reeds of the beautiful Back Bay. Cops worked around the clock, but the case went cold. By 2018, the police department decided to try something new, a social media campaign called Lynda's Story. They shared heartbreaking details about what happened to her, hoping someone would remember something. At the time, they were using new DNA technologies to find the killer, and their strategy worked. They built a picture of what the killer looked like and found a match in Colorado. After a series of DNA tests, detectives confirmed that James Allen Neal was Lynda's murderer. 3. Google Earth solves a 22-year-old disappearance. William Moult vanished on November 8, 1997. Over 2 decades later, a breakthrough came when a former resident, exploring their old Florida neighborhood on Google Earth, spotted an unusual shape in the pond. There, submerged beneath the water, was a car. The shocking discovery led authorities to the skeletal remains inside, which were positively identified as those of William, who was only 40 years old when he disappeared. 2. Decoding a dying grandmother's final writings. Allow me to tell you about the most heartwarming digital sleuthing story we found during our research for this list. A woman, desperate to understand cryptic messages left by her dying grandmother, turned to the internet for help. The family had struggled for months to decipher the coded messages, but online puzzle enthusiasts cracked the first code in just 14 minutes. The grandmother's final scribbles were, in fact, a cleverly hidden message that came with the first letters of every word of the Lord's Prayer. 1. The Dishonest Cyclist. At number 1 on today's list, I bring you a classic case of deception gone wrong. In 2015, a cyclist trying to defraud an insurance company was caught red-handed thanks to his own social media posts. Andy Airy claimed significant injuries following an accident, but was caught exaggerating his condition after investigators uncovered numerous posts of him running and cycling long distances. And I'm talking long distances. 15-mile runs, even a 20-mile bike ride on the date of the medical examination. Not only was Airy's claim dismissed, but he was ordered to pay substantial legal costs to the tune of £40,000, or about $51,000, proving that the internet, while often a breeding ground for misinformation, can also be a powerful tool for justice. And that's a wrap for today. But if you're hungry for more, why don't you check out our previous video, 25 Insane Mysteries Solved by Reddit, where I looked at how amateur detectives unearthed secrets that baffled professionals for years. From unsolved cases to baffling conspiracies, Redditors managed to crack them all wide open. So to go to that video right now, simply click on this link right here, and I'll see you next time.